Hey, everybody. Today, I'm asking if you like this show, would you head over to iTunes and leave a review? Just go to coolcatteacher.com/iTunes, and it will take you to the show on iTunes. And you can give it stars, or even better, if you leave a rating. It really does make a difference, and it helps other teachers find the show. Thanks. Hyperdocs Literacy Task Boards, episode 317. The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today. Today, we're talking with Laura Dennis, a third grade teacher from Ontario, Canada, about Hyperdocs Literacy Task Boards. Laura, let's break it down. I know some of our listeners will know what Hyperdocs are. We've had a show on it before, but simply explain Hyperdocs for us.
So Hyperdocs are basically links that we provide for children to access different websites and articles that we want them to read.
So it's a Google Doc, and they can make a copy of the doc or view it read only, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Do your students typically make copies of these Hyperdocs or just view it as read only and follow the link?
I usually create it and then make a copy for students. Then I actually have Google Classroom, which I put it in, so it's a little bit easier for them to access.
How do literacy task boards work in Hyperdocs?
So I used to do literacy task boards on paper, which basically, while I'm meeting with a group for guided reading, this is what the rest of the students are doing. So there's a lot of different choices on the choice board. And recently I discovered Hyperdocs and just love it. So I've transitioned to that. And so while I'm working with a guided reading group, the rest of the students in my class will log onto their accounts, open up their Hyperdocs task board, and choose an activity to do independently.
When they do these activities, are they turning them back in Google Classroom? Are you discussing them with them later? How does that work?
Yeah, they basically try to do at least one little section each day. I've kind of modeled off of Stephanie Harvey's strategies that work. So there are different sections, for instance, making connections, questioning, visualizing, inferring. So they'll choose one to work on during the period. And once they finish it, there's another Google Docs that they'll go to type their responses. And it's a great thing for differentiation because some of the kids will just finish one task per day, which is fantastic. As soon as they finish it, they can go on. So it's great for kids who work quickly and efficiently. They can complete up to 2 to 3 tasks per day.
How does this compare to when you did task boards on paper?
Wow, I feel very modern now doing this. It's great. The kids have always liked task board because, not everyone wants to read at the same time and not everyone wants to write their journal at the same time on a Tuesday. And so task board is always allowed for kids to have choice and to be doing different things when they feel like it. But going kind of for this digital task board or Hyperdocs task board has just created a lot of excitement in the class. They love that it's just connected to an article right away, so they don't have to type out and do a Google search for an article. So it's very kind of hands-on and easy to use for the students.
That's the thing about Hyperdocs. It's just so fast. You feel like paperless is finally here. Like it really works and it's just not a pain, because if it's not simpler, why have it? Now, you're also using Flipgrid with this? How?
I am. I love Flipgrid. So an example, we're doing early settlers this week as one of our units for social studies. And I had the students read an article having to do with early settlers and take a few jot notes about the article. And when they were ready, just click on the link to Flipgrid, which is basically a video opportunity for kids to record themselves making a video, 30 seconds to 90 seconds. And once they gathered their thoughts and took their jot notes, they clicked on the Flipgrid for our class code and then recorded their connection to the article. And then other kids can just go on and watch the videos and listen. So it's been a fantastic tool to use in the classroom.
As I'm looking at, you've got Flipgrid, you've got an easy way to have conversations using digital tools. You've also got, the task boards. Now, the thing I like that's cool is your kids are actually making a copy of the task board for themselves, and they're coloring in each box as they do something, right?
Yes, and it's been great for tracking. So they just, when they complete a task, they color it in so they can kind of keep track. They make a plan for the next day of what they need to do. So it's all about the students and choice with them. And it's been tremendous. It's really, and then allowed me to feel good that they're doing rich activities in the classroom while I'm working with another group doing guided reading. So it's kind of a win-win for the students and myself, really.
We can talk about the obvious. So many times, some students can keep up with their task board if they have a copy. and others can't. So now it's always there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They don't lose it.
Yeah, that's right. It's really wonderful. And really, it's been great. I've been sharing the task board with other teachers, and teachers have been kind of hopping on board and sharing what they've done. So I think it's really going to be definitely kind of catching fire in our school, but I see other people kind of using it on Twitter and different places. So it's very exciting.
You're in third grade. Did you ever imagine that third grade would have as simple to use tools as you have now?
Not at all, honestly. I look around my class when I look up from my guided reading table, and I see kids using Flipgrid, and kids making a Venn diagram using the drawing tool in Google Docs, and kids making a word cloud using ABC. There are just so many different things that they're doing on the computer and iPads. It's fantastic. It's really quite inspiring.
Well, that we know they're more literate now in the technology. Do you feel like they're more literate in their reading and in the things you're trying to teach them to do in class?
I do, for sure. I mean, I think that we as teachers are teaching a lot more intentionally as we did before when I first started teaching, definitely. And I think also it really captures their interest if they can read an article online or watch a video about something and then take notes from that. I think that that's really broadened the scope of enthusiasm in the class.
So, Laura, as you're giving advice to teachers, are there any mistakes you've made using Hyperdocs?
The technical things were difficult, just kind of linking things and figuring out how they would respond to the tasks. So I guess my best advice would be just to start simple, create a template that just works for you, and then try that template week by week and just kind of make small adjustments. A lot of teachers, I think, have the students respond in different ways, but I've just created one doc that has different subheadings for all of the, representing, questioning, visualizing, that then the students just find that space to record their answer in.
And of course, they can follow on the show notes and look at your templates and make a copy if they want to, can't they?
That's very true. Hopefully they will.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about Hyperdocs. It's kind of like we just give them out to each other. I mean, I have digital citizenship Hyperdocs, and people just snag them and make a copy and tweak it and make it their own. And it's just incredible.
It's a fantastic way to share. It's really been great just kind of getting different ideas from teachers and being able to share back with teachers who are interested in tech ideas.
Laura, what have you done right with this method? You're like, okay, this really works.
I try to infuse one new tech idea a week in my class. So that's been working very well. I try not to overwhelm myself, but just learn one new thing that I can infuse in my program. I also like that the kids track it just by coloring in the blocks. That's an easy thing for them to track themselves and to plan ahead for the week. Yeah, and I guess just inspiring the enthusiasm in the students. They're really excited about coming back in the next day and getting on the computer and continuing on with their tasks.
And I love your method of innovation. So I have the same method where, I may not try to do one a week, but I like to innovate like a turtle, which means I'm always adding, taking one tiny step forward slowly, whether it's, every few days or every 2 weeks or something, but try something new, experiment with something new. And then eventually you look back and you're like, wow, look how far I've come. I just think that makes so much more progress than somebody who goes to a conference once a year and innovates a lot and then doesn't do anything the rest of the year. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think baby steps are the best way. And, I don't want to jump into something and have it, backfire so badly. So I think just doing these small things each week have really kind of helped me hone my skills a bit and just be open to trying new things. And it's been great.
So teachers, no matter what you teach, check out Hyperdocs. Take a look at those. We'll also link in the show notes to someone who has talked about Hyperdocs as well as Flipgrid. These are two fantastic tools that teachers are just raving about everywhere. I'm not a big fan of the trendy. I'm a big fan of stuff that just works and is simple. And I know when I started using Hyperdocs, I was like, yes, this is so easy. Do try it out. And thank you, Laura, for this fantastic ideas and for what you're doing with your third graders.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on your show.
As I said before the show started, it really does help if you leave a review. So if you go to coolcatteacher.com/iTunes and leave a review, I really do appreciate it. And I also appreciate it when you tell your friends. One tip, a lot of people don't know that if you go to the show notes for any of these episodes, so today is episode 254, so you would go to coolcatteacher.com/E254. and you can go to the show notes. But if you look at the little player that I've embedded, there are two little brackets. And if you click that, you can actually embed any show you want on your own blog, your own website. You can share the links to those and just share it far and wide. You can even download a copy of the show if you want to send it to others. So I've put it out there for you, and I hope it's useful. Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.